Life rarely follows the path we plan. Ruth and Hannah, two women from ancient Israel, understood this deeply. Their stories teach us that even when life brings unexpected sorrow, God is near and His purposes will prevail. Ruth was a Moabite woman who married an Israelite man. When her husband died, she faced a crossroads. She could return to her own people and her familiar way of life, or she could stay with her mother-in-law Naomi and embrace the God of Israel. Ruth chapter 1 verses 16 through 18 record her famous words of loyalty. Where Naomi would go, Ruth would go. Where Naomi would lodge, Ruth would lodge. Her God would be Ruth's God. This was no small decision. In ancient Israelite culture, a widow without a husband or sons had no inheritance rights and almost no means of income. Ruth's only option for survival was gleaning, which meant following behind harvesters in the fields and gathering the grain they left behind. This practice was part of the law of Moses, designed to care for the poor and the foreigner. Providence led Ruth to the fields of Boaz, a wealthy and righteous man who was also a near kinsman of Naomi's deceased husband. In Ruth chapter 2 verses 8 through 12, Boaz noticed Ruth's faithfulness and showed her kindness beyond what the law required. He instructed his workers to leave extra grain for her and to protect her. He recognized she had come to trust under the wings of the God of Israel. The story reaches its beautiful conclusion in Ruth chapter 4 verses 4 through 10, where Boaz acts as a kinsman redeemer, a role in Israelite law where a close male relative could purchase land and marry a widow to preserve the family line. Boaz redeemed Ruth from poverty and isolation. In doing so, he became a type of Jesus Christ who redeems all of us from our most desperate circumstances. Hannah's story opens in 1 Samuel chapter 1 verses 1 through 10. She longed deeply for a child but was unable to conceive. In a culture where a woman's identity and security were tied closely to motherhood, this was a source of profound sorrow. The scripture says she was in bitterness of soul and wept greatly, yet Hannah did not turn away from God. She went to the tabernacle at Shiloh and poured out her heart in prayer. The priest Eli at first misunderstood her, thinking she was drunk because her lips moved but no sound came out. When she explained herself, he blessed her. 1 Samuel chapter 1 verses 17 through 18 record that after her prayer, her countenance was no longer sad. She had found peace before the answer even came. God heard Hannah's prayer. She conceived and bore a son, whom she named Samuel, meaning God has heard. In an act of remarkable faith, she kept her vow and brought the child to the tabernacle to serve the Lord all his days. Hannah's song of praise in 1 Samuel chapter 2 verses 1 through 10 is one of the most powerful poems in Scripture. She declared, "My heart rejoiceth in the Lord." Her words celebrate a God who lifts up the poor, who brings low the proud, and who keeps the feet of his faithful ones. Samuel grew up in the tabernacle under the care of Eli. 1 Samuel chapter 3 records the night when the young boy heard a voice calling his name. 3 times he went to Eli, thinking the old priest had called him. Eli finally understood that it was the Lord speaking and told Samuel to answer, "Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth." Samuel learned to recognize the voice of God, and he became one of the greatest prophets in Israelite history. In 1 Samuel chapters 4 through 7, Israel suffered military defeat when they tried to use the Ark of the Covenant as a kind of talisman without true faith or obedience behind it. The Ark was captured by the Philistines, but God made clear through plagues and signs that he was not defeated. When Israel repented and returned to the Lord in 1 Samuel chapter 7, Samuel led them in national renewal, and God delivered them from their enemies. These stories share a common thread. God does not abandon his people in their trials. Ruth trusted God in grief and found redemption. Hannah trusted God in longing and found joy. Samuel trusted God in youth and found his calling. Whatever unexpected path you find yourself on, you can echo Hannah's words and say with a full heart, "My heart rejoiceth in the Lord."